Oh, we are now live. All right. So, comic book nerds, geeks, dorks, all of you guys, welcome to Comic Book University. I'm Professor Bill. I'll prove it. I have my degree from Comic Book University. Yes, I made that. Anyway, I have with me today Mr. Jonathan Miller. Don't get too excited. It's not like the brother of Frank Miller or Mark Millar, but he is the co-founder, writer of several comics for Outpouring Comics. And I'm going to turn the camera over to him. Say what's up.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? I do not have a degree from Comic Book University, so I am not clearly as awesome as Professor Bill, but I do look forward to attending his classes in the fall. And yeah, co-founder, main publisher for Outpouring Comics, writer of several of our different series. I'm actually actively working on 5 of our series right now and having a blast doing it.
That's awesome. All right, you're out of Delaware, right?
The company's based out of Delaware as far as the LLC. I live in New Jersey though.
Nice.
So
nice. Both Jersey boys.
Yeah, shore area. So, oh, you're a
Nice.
Jersey boy too. Awesome.
I'm straight from out of Asbury Park, man.
Wall Township.
Oh, geez, you're just yeah, you're up exit 18 to the end.
Yeah, literally, actually, 18's in my backyard.
18 South, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right, shoot. So you're a stone's throw away. All right.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so you sent me one of your comics, and you know what? Before we even get to that, I checked out your website. Very gorgeous website, professionally done. You've also got a podcast up there. Your first episode. Did you put any more since I looked?
We have not put the second one up yet, but we're working on getting the second one up, and we actually are recording the third one this weekend.
Fantastic. All right. I listened to the entirety of the first one. I think it was 45 minutes to an hour. Well worth it. You were driving back from Big Apple Comic Con, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and you guys were, it was like 3 of you guys in the van. Van?
Yeah, minivan, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I got the impression that there was a van.
Yeah, I mean, 3 big guys and a lot of show equipment, so you needed a van for that.
That's fantastic. And I want to go a little bit into it, just a little bit, because there were some really interesting stories. But the reason why I don't want to go too into it is because, for real, I think that people should, if you have the time, if you're taking a drive, open it up and listen to it, because it was a very interesting podcast. You had a table. You only had one table, right?
Correct.
I should say you were only supposed to have one table.
Yeah.
But people on either side of you didn't quite show up.
Yeah.
So, right there, antics
if
and
you don't
skill.
show up to a con on time, oh, sorry.
No, you're right. You don't show up to the Comic-Con on time.
You're gonna want your spot.
Yeah, you don't want it to look like a ghost town. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you definitely. If there's an empty table next to you, people are less likely going to come your way. It's just better for it to expand or even be removed altogether.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. And I didn't know that you could actually be removed. Interesting. The guy on your right wasn't the nicest guy in the world, apparently, but whatever. The guy on your left, though, seemed extremely cool, had 2 tables, was going to let you have one of the tables anyway. And who was that guy?
Riley Brown, current artist for Deadpool.
That's sick. Huh? That's sick.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. Class act, great guy. He had just had some problems at home. There was a house fire just a few weeks before, but still very positive guy, very upbeat guy, and really just overall friendly. We've been in touch with him since then, and I don't know, he's just one of the great new faces in comics today.
Did you say you guys are still in touch with him?
Occasionally.
That is fantastic. And yeah, he seems like the kind of guy that, you said in the podcast, you said that people were coming up to him out of nowhere, famous people, and giving him well wishes and whatnot.
Oh yeah, a lot of people had a lot of respect for him. He just handles himself like he's an industry professional who's been doing it forever, and actually even a lot friendlier than some, because he's a part of the industry that he's in, and he lets his fans and his followers know it.
That's awesome. That's cool. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's one thing to go to a comic show, but like you were actually a part of it. You had your own tables and everything. That's awesome. And I know that you got stuck at a table while other guys got into hijinks with some of the other guys. And I kind of want people to really just listen to the podcast, because it actually had me laughing out loud at some of those parts. It was great. And some of the people that you guys got to meet.
Awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah. And like I say, I look forward to the next podcast, and when you're finished filming the third.
The podcast will always be on the way back from a convention too. The next one that's going up is when we came back from Three Rivers Comic Con, and we're going to Newark Comic Con in New Jersey this weekend. So when we come back from that on Saturday night, we'll be recording that.
That's awesome. Yeah, honestly, I can't wait to listen to it. It's very, very fun. You guys just mesh well, and that was impromptu also, which is my favorite. It's when you speak from the heart.
Yeah, I mean, the filters weren't on. It was the end of the day. We were all tired. We all had reasons we could have been grumpy, but we were all happy after an amazing day, riding the adrenaline high, and yeah, it was literally, it was completely real talk about the show we were at. Long day. It's really hard to it's really hard to lie about your experience.
Yeah, right. Good point. All right, so you sent me one comment, and I'm going to express a little bit of anger to you right now. I know I didn't go over this with you before, but a little bit angry at you. You only sent me one issue. All right. You sent me issue number 1 of Heroes United, a digital copy, and this was a good comic. All right. For small publisher, small distributor, I think that was a really good comic. It had some interesting characters. You had a super group that went up against one character. He looked a little bit like Cyborg, actually a cross between Cyborg and 70s Luke Cage. But he was pretty badass. And then he goes off, I imagine, to form his own super group. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I'm upset you only sent me the one comic. I'm joking.
You know what?
But
tomorrow I'm going to be in places with good Wi-Fi. I will actually be sending you the full Outpouring Universe library up to this point in time.
Whoa! All right, I should do some more of these interviews. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to read them. I will read the hell out of those, because that was a really good comic. I like the character development. You didn't waste time with an origin story. That's the thing I really liked about it, because that's what we see in the movies today, where people are actually getting so sick. Batman vs Superman. There was what, a 3-minute origin for Batman, and people said, "Oh, Batman was the best part of the movie," but they said if only they didn't do the stupid origin. We know already.
Yeah. No, one of the things that we wanted to avoid was doing just another origin story. And show the actual struggles of the team, show the actual struggles of what they were up against, both out in the field and in the clubhouse. And, granted, maybe there was a little bit of origin. You do see someone join the team. You start to see the team as it starts to take hold, because until there's crisis, you don't know what you really have. This mad crisis, but this wasn't going out to recruit, member X, Y, and Z to join members A, B, and C.
Exactly. You're right. There was some origin there, but there was so many questions that were left open book for now. And I'm sure you've already gotten to most of them, if not all of them, answered them. But there's a question of how were they already a super team, but they weren't active or they weren't allowed to go out and do what they wanted to do. Who's this other group who had contacted them and gave them permission to go ahead? You already had a rivalry there with the leader and a junior member, whatever. Another guy there who is fairly bestial, and you also had the new recruit and the main baddie were actually siblings. So there was a little bit of story there, a little bit of origin there, but not enough to make us go, what? But more than enough to make us go, okay, I want to know where this is going.
Well, that was one of the reasons why we did it the way we did it. We actually want people to follow the story of that team as they're going forward from there. And if the team turns out to be popular and certain characters turn out to be popular, then we'll go back, we'll make the 0 issue so people can learn more about, what they like. And also, doing it the way we did it, we now can actually utilize the flashback to its fullest potential. We're not re-flashing back on information that actually has already been given to the audience, but we can flash back to stuff the audience has not yet seen and build up to an even more climactic moment. And that way, whenever everything goes down, you actually find out a little of why it happened that way.
I'm in love with it right now because it really was riveting. I'm not going to go so far as to say riveting. It wasn't like, whoa, but it did keep me reading. I didn't put it was on my computer, but I didn't close my computer or anything like that. It kept me reading to the end, and at the end, I did want more, genuinely. It was really good stuff. And the flashback sequence, nodding my head like a bobblehead right now because every single character there right now is flashback worthy. The good guys, the bad guy, and there's still a bunch moving forward. It's not all just a story in the past. There's still a story that's progressing forward. And you are the writer of that comic. I thought,
yes, I am.
Good job. And I see another Miller doing lettering. Would that be a sister, a wife?
That would be a wife, actually. As a matter of fact, she's actually on the other side of the room right now. Maybe I can convince her to jump over here for a minute. There is video on. Yeah, she actually does a lot of the lettering for us. She helps out with the formatting. The formatting at the end, actually taking pages of artwork and forming them into a comic. It's a lot more of an art than a lot of people realize. As a matter of fact, you could have the greatest writer and the artist in the world. If the formatter doesn't know what they're doing, you might end up with a pretty terrible comic.
Yeah.
But here she is for a moment.
Hello.
Hey there.
There I am.
Beautiful letters.
Thank you. I try.
And I'm hearing the formatting also. Fantastic. So I've got 2 co-founders on now.
Yep. You want to say something?
I don't know what this is. So I know you had said you had an interview, but I don't know. I didn't know who you were interviewing or why.
We're talking about Heroes United right now.
Oh. I don't really have much to say.
Okay.
Besides, I just finished lettering the first one, and that was fun.
Yep.
I'm not good on the spot, by the way.
It's not a big deal. Okay, so Heroes United was fantastic. How many issues are you guys up to right now?
That's actually our first issue, and it's debuting for the first time at Newark Comic Con this week. You actually got it before it was released.
Ooh,
so
right.
it's going to join our flagship series and one other brand new series in the Renegade Alliance anthology that we look to release in time for the holiday season this year. It'll be a Judge Dredd style anthology. You'll follow the stories of Voda, the Heroes United, with a question mark, I want to point out. It's not, it's intended to be with the question mark. And you'll follow the story of the Renegade Nation and see how these 3 North American supergroups are indirectly affecting each other by the actions they're taking. We actually show each of the stories are in sequential order to how they're actually happening in real life. What happens in one of the stories directly impacts the crisis in the next story. We will also be debuting a group called Blockbuster, which will be 3-page shorts in between each story. And we're showing how Blockbuster, a super team, is actually trying to make the great TV superhero movie of all time.
Okay,
by
so
filming
the
the
new
events
movies.
that they put into action.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so this answered my question. It is a joint universe.
It is a joint universe, yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep. Many different planets. Our underworld actually gets connected to, little spoiler alert, our underworld gets connected to our flagship series in the Voda. And over the course of the next, I'm going to say 6 to 8 months, you'll actually see the stories from different planets actually slowly start to link together.
All right. So this actually has me excited. So we're not based completely on Earth.
No. There are a few different other planets that we cover right from the start. Our In Limbo franchise, which will be debuting in the late fall, follows a team of, it's a story of soul searching and space exploration. Follows a team from Earth as they're expanding and exploring through the Milky Way galaxy alone. They're actually trying to form diplomatic relationships with the other planets and bring back people to Earth, bring back beings to Earth if they are willing. The protagonist of that series is actually the daughter of the main protagonist in our Voda series. We cover the planet of Mafahasa, which actually is Uranus. No jokes intended there. The reason why we did it is because we're trying to make it like a true science fiction as opposed to a fantasy in space. Actually the only planet where we would be able to do everything that we needed to do for the special alien species there. In that series, it's actually 2 series that come together in one book. Dark Ashes on one side, and then you flip it over, and it's a story of Deathly Light on the other side. The 2 will meet together in the center, one giant pinup that works from both angles of the book. The Deathly Light side, you'll be following the story of Prism, a Alexander the Great esque character, and you'll be following the tales of its conquest. On the other side of the book, you'll be following the tales of Hulema, who is whose species is born out of death and darkness, and you'll actually be following them as they're trying to do whatever they can to both preserve their species and the life on this planet. We took the ironic twist of having the light be the villain and the darkness actually being the hero in this scenario, even though that neither one of them are a true villain or hero. And you'll actually see In Limbo and Dark Ashes, Deathly Light start to connect towards. As far as the planet of Mysterium, that's in a different solar system, same galaxy. So they have their own sun. On that planet, it's a very fantasy-based planet as a whole. You'll be following the illustrated journal of a character by the name of Rashomon, at the Second Great War of Mysterium. That's actually a novel done in the form of an illustrated journal that we will be releasing in the fall. And then I explained the Renegade Alliance anthology before. Czar follows our underworld, and we have our underworld set as not a different dimension or not a different place, but a different plane altogether. I know that's been done before, but the planes overlap each other, and there are access points between all of the planes. So that way we can bring that character. Well, that character actually is a character that appears in another storyline first. So we can actually bring the characters of that story to and from the other planes, to and from the other realities. In the story of Necrozar, who is who's just freshly mastered the magical and martial arts in the underworld, and now he's decided I'm going to be the king. Against all odds, he's going to try to overthrow the demon regime in the underworld and claim it for the undead again.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
So,
All right.
wow. Yeah. Okay. I'm actually getting an echo over then. I'm going to try and talk over my echo. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, I'm actually riveted right now. I'm going back to that word. So what I'm hearing now, it's all good, man. You've got this planned. Son of a gun. Okay. So first off, recap. I'm talking to Jonathan Miller of Outpouring Comics. Oh my God, I really see this moving on. You need a marketing team is what you need right now, because you've got the story. And it looks like you've got some good artists on there also, looking on the Facebook page and some of the work that they're doing there. But so you've got a character who is light, not just a character, but like a group, an organization that's light, but they're more evil than good from a perspective. And the exact inverse for the darkness side. They're actually the good guys, which is fine. Almost sounds like a form of colonization.
I wish I could take full credit for the development of those characters. I've actually had a lot of help from both my wife and the other co-founder, Samuel Cardone. I just created the initial 2 characters, and from there, they've actually really helped expand the species. Artist Carell Jefferson, our video guy, Matthew Hahn, actually helped to create some of the mythos on it. So a lot of people have just helped. Initially, it wasn't until recently that we actually started painting Kulema and his species, the dark species, as a little more heroic. The series was initially intended to be political satire on the end of Deathly Light and a religious satire on the end of Dark Ashes, but it kind of developed into more of an ironic showing the balance and imbalance of light and dark, almost like a little bit of a drama.
All right. Well, yeah, that sounds great. I love the idea that it's space opera-esque. It's actually bringing me back to my favorite novel. For the first 3 in the series is Dune, Frank Herbert. It's sounding a lot like that, because, or even Star Wars in a sense, that everything doesn't happen on just one planet, which is all of the comics that exist today, with the exception of Dark Horse to a degree, because they got aliens and predators, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love the idea of that. I love the idea of the exploration. I'm getting the vision right now that you guys are going to be doing a lot of perspective on things. So much like a Doctor Doom from the Marvel comics, he's a bad guy, but he doesn't know that. Yeah, he thinks he's the good guy, and that seems to be all of your villains for the most part, which to me I think is the best kind of villain.
Yeah. We try to make our characters very real to life. The characters like who am I trying to think? Superman and Darkseid don't exist in real life. There isn't someone who's pure evil, who knows they're evil, who's just bent on destruction and mayhem in real life. I mean, granted, I guess there could be someone, but every real villain through the course of time has honestly believed that they were doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we can name a lot of people. You just mentioned you're going to have an Alexander the Great kind of character. I guarantee there are a lot of people who thought that he was evil, but try convincing him that, you know? He was just bringing knowledge back to Aristotle, his teacher. But
and flip side of the coin, people don't go out and do heroic deeds just purely because it's the right thing all the time. I mean, granted, there are good people in the world, but every hero that is given powers has some sort of motive, some greater cause other than the greater good, whether it's for protection for their family, whether it's because I need to atone for this past mistake, or whether it's just because there's a parade in my honor and I can get away with a whole lot more. And we dive into those for each of our heroes too. Our characters aren't just doing good and evil because that's the way they are. They all have reasons. They all believe what they are doing for them and those they care.
That sounds good. I actually made a comment in my part 1 of my Doomsday video, where I mentioned that there was a character that Doomsday killed, a partner of Darkseid, named Master Mayhem. And clearly, just by the name, he's a bad guy, right? You just made the comment, Superman and Darkseid. Darkseid, clearly the bad guy, right? And as long as you don't say, what do you call it, Superman in German, he sounds like the good guy, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea that motives aren't quite so clear cut, and I'm loving that. That sounds like what's going to happen in this. I don't even know what to call it. It's an expanded universe that you're writing right now.
Yeah. And you know, we just try to keep going back to that. Like when we're pushing a character more towards one way or another, we're just carefully keeping an eye on it. When we got into this, one of the things that we wanted to do was correct some of the problems that mainstream comics were making. The image of women, the overall real lack of diversity. And I mean, yeah, granted, they're changing characters now, but they're not really introducing new diverse characters. They're just changing things because they heard people cry too much, sadly enough. And we also wanted to correct the fact that very few comic characters do something based off of a true psychological reason. They're just inherently good or evil half the time. And combining all that together, we kill characters. We don't bring back characters unless there's a really, really good reason as to, you know, this character died on the Amulet of the Phoenix. I wonder if that character is going to be back someday. We do have a very in-depth and complex afterlife. So a character could reappear as a spirit or, you know, some sort of undead species, but, you know, is gone. They're gone. So that's one of the things when we were creating our universe that we actually set to correct. Yeah.
So,
one quick side note too, because it isn't going to come up, but I want to give a huge shout out to a lot of the people who have helped with the character creation through the course of time. This universe was actually born out of a tabletop role play. There have been 30, 40 people that have in some way helped with character creation or story development. It was born as a event that I ran in a universe that I kept on expanding and making more intergalactic for the players to play for. And eventually one day decided, yeah, we need to do something with this. We went back and talked to everyone who was involved, and yeah, they were all excited that their character was being brought to a higher calling.
that's awesome. All right, so I'm noticing a little Game of Thrones, where people die, people potentially don't come back, at least if you don't have a good reason, which means that every character death is going to mean something. Getting a little bit of Dragon Ball Z, a little bit of, you know, Spirit World, people coming back. And now you're mentioning you're mentioning tabletop role playing. All right, now you're talking to an old school, advanced second edition D&D player here. What RPG were you playing tabletop?
Masterminds.
And it makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, you get, for your level 10 character at the beginning, you get 150 points. You're given very loose guidelines as to what you can't do, but you're told you have to make that character start to finish, all attributes and everything, with the 150 points. yeah, you get your base 10 free and all the attributes, but beyond that, you have nothing else, and you have to build that character up so your character can be as creative, as min-max, as awesome, or as terrible as you want that character to be. One of my favorite moments in one of the campaigns I ran was with constantly kept on referring back to Wisdom 6. He would just occasionally do stupid things throughout the campaign. And whenever people tried to call him out on it, he's like, Wisdom 6. So
great.
literally, you can do anything that you want to do with that character. And that's why we had so many great characters be born, because I was making characters, players were making characters, players killed my characters, I needed to make more characters, but I didn't just make the character sheet. I gave the full background. I gave the reason why they should be in there. So with all that, we ended up with a very character-driven universe.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's some of the best. Lately, I feel like a lot of people who take the time to put together these stories, they turn around and they want to actually make it into a novel of some sort. And I'm actually really happy to hear that you took a tabletop role-playing game and you're turning it into a comic book now, because you actually, now I know for a fact, you actually have set rules. For anybody who's not familiar with tabletop games, Mutant and Masterminds is a Dungeons and Dragons-esque kind of game where you're basically making superheroes in one shape, form, or another. Anything that you can imagine in the comic books, same exact thing. And you get to take possession of this character that you create from scratch. So you're not taking Iron Man or the Hulk. You're making but you can make a character like them if you choose. And again, since it is a tabletop RPG, there are set rules and guidelines that must be followed. That's a standard for everybody. So you're probably, and you gave specific points to everybody, which means that you're probably not going to have the huge influx of like the Superman character to the Batman character, you know, who you have to kind of fudge why he's up here, right?
Yeah, I allowed players to get out of control sometimes. I actually allowed players to go up to level 20, but they were doing it as part of teams. And there had to be, you couldn't play a character that was so much worse than everything else. You couldn't play a character that was so much better than anything else. And typically my players knew that when I was allowing them to get really crazy, it's because I had something really crazy for them at the end. So that was the one, you know, a lot of players would think, system here, I'm going to break the system there, and it's kind of like, okay, well, you guys might have come up with some really broken combos, you guys might have come up with some really broken characters, but you ignored the fact that everyone on your team believes everything they hear, because nobody can pass a bluff check. No one can pass a sense motive check. I had one team that literally was just slaughtering every mission I threw their way. One would taunt the fire all the way to her character. My wife actually played that character. Two of them had this crazy combo where they were shooting up in the air with telekinesis followed by kinetic energy, and just hitting villains all the way up as high as possible and then letting them fall to their death.
And all of this shows up in the comic?
What was that?
All of this shows
some
up.
of this is going to pair.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And then they finally faced a crime boss in a dark room, and they didn't, because their senses were impaired, and they literally fell for anything, any trap that the crime boss set there, anything that the character said, they fell for hook, line, and sinker, because none of them could sense motive. Real time, it took 5.5 hours for them to battle a boss. They ran away at the end of it. 2 of them disabled, and 1 of them severely injured.
That's sick. I love it. I love it. So really quick, we're talking to Jonathan Miller of Outpouring Comics. To finish up on the RPG aspect of this really quick, I do like the idea again that there are set rules, so everybody's going to be on a fairly level fairly level playing field. And you can't play a tabletop role-playing game like you would any other game. You're not going to beat the game. There's no such thing as beating that. You can't win at Mutants and Masterminds or Dungeons and Dragons like you could at Monopoly, right? So you either survive or you don't. And if you don't, you make a new character and move on, which seems to be just like your comics. So is this the bulk of the inspiration for your comic line, Outpouring Comics?
Yeah, a lot of it was born out of that, but we then took it to creative teams, whether it be a writer or whether it be, obviously the first step when converting it was finding out what actually worked in the timeline. This event in the RP, but that wouldn't necessarily be good in a comic. So we had to make it to where some of the stuff would appear good in the comic, to where there was consistency with all of our timeline. We go over all of our stories for continuity and consistency all the time, just to make sure that it's actually canon in the universe. Logically is canon in the universe. Then we bring it to the team that's working on the story, and we need to be turned off at that point in time. We actually encourage our artists to make this character your own. If you let us know, because what I can make by myself is not as good as what you and I can make together. It is not as good as other people that are passionate about it joining us to help make it greater. Chris Rubenstahl, the writer and artist for Manifest Destiny and the whole Necrozar series that I co-create with him, he actually took our character Necrozar and took him to a completely new level that wasn't even seen in the RPs. He made one of our top characters even better. Current artist Terrell Jefferson for Dark Ashes and Death of Light, he's taking characters that were really strong before and making them even better. Jay Taylor for Heroes United. Kent Willis did it for Voda. All of these artists have actually expanded on characters and just made them something even better.
So how many comic lines do you have out right now?
We have our Voda series, the first 3 out in that. We have our Necrozar series, and we're releasing Heroes United this week. So we have 3 different comic series, 5 comics total out. As far as distribution, which I'll give a quick shout out there, we distribute Psychosis for Adam Atkinson and David Coates from up in Canada. They have out their 2nd book. They're releasing their 2nd graphic novel, which is issues 1 through 4, issues 3 and 4 later in this fall. We distribute for John Orlando, a underground king from the 90s. We're reprinting his work and publishing his new stuff. We have the Visage Studios anthology out for him right now, taking all of his work that he worked on in the 90s with Rich Buckler, Roy Thomas, Mike Lilly, and we compiled it all together into one awesome graphic novel. And at 144 pages, at $16, actually very, very reasonably priced, considering their names like Buckler and Thomas. And then we also do a book of celebrity doodles with satirical comments by Caleb Temple. John Orlando's in Cali, Caleb Temple's in Nevada. It's just a picture book of celebrity head doodles with satirical quotes. It is really well put together, and we think he's done a really great job. And those are the ones we're distributing. Oh, and Kurt Bruegel, who lives down in Maryland, we distribute some works that he's actually helped to preserve. The original Golden Age Sword and Sorcery from Gardner F. Fox, his From the Barbarian titles, and his Warlock of Shardor titles are actually being distributed through us. Bruegel's part of a preservation society on it, and he has taken it and kept the works and made them available for all. So that's who we're working with on the outside. So distributing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 We're currently distributing 11 titles. We're currently publishing 11 books, 8 titles. We're currently publishing 3 titles, 5 books. We have a September release coming up, Dark Ashes, Deathly Light. And later in the fall, we're releasing our first, and we're releasing, just in time for the holidays, we're releasing the Renegade Alliance anthology.
So how long have you been in production, in publication?
We made our public debut at Asbury Park Comic Con April 2014. So that's really, we formed as a concept back in 2012. We had no clue what we were doing. I mean, we're still learning the ins and outs in the industry. We still make moves that make it seem like we have no clue what we're doing. But, well, no, that's not necessarily true. But we still make mistakes. There's a learning curve. We're a 2-year-old company.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to improve. We're going to continue to get better. We're going to learn from our mistakes, and we're just going to continue to bring a high standard of comic to the market. Which
yeah, 2.5 years. I mean, that's still potty training.
One of the things that we like to say about ourselves is that we are a multimedia company in the small press stage.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I mean, you're working with guys like John Orlando. I saw that he was all over your Facebook page, which is fantastic. I was actually really happy to see the picture come to life that he kept on working on. Geez, Outpouring Comics. So around since April of 2014, and you've got 11 distributions, 5 publications right now, 2 more coming out, and a graphic novel for the holiday time. That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, I absolutely, like I said, I absolutely love just what I've seen. I'm in love with what I'm hearing right now. And seriously, I feel like I'm Larfleeze from the Orange Lanterns. I just, mine, give me more. I really can't wait to get my grubby mitts on them. Yeah, and all right, do you have any more, anything else that you want to, any more shout outs, any more plugs?
I could give a lot of shout outs. First thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to give a shout out to all of our artists and writers and all of our creators that we have that we're distributing for. They do a great job. They are committed to excellence, and it's a privilege to work with each and every single one of them. I want to give a shout out to the full management team, my wife Sarah, Sam Gardone, and Stephen Lysevsky. They all do an amazing job. They make my life a whole lot easier. And to our affiliate Superhero Speak, a lot of people have put a lot into Outpouring, to all the role play groups that have helped out, and then, you know, ultimately to our fans, because yeah, they're the ones that are making it to where we can take a shot at our dream. The ones who have actually been supporting, and just want to give a shout out to all of them. I do want to let you know I will be sending you voted issues 1 through 3 and Necrozar Manifest Destiny. And one other thing, if I can't necessarily speak for all my artists, but if you are looking for someone else for a show at a later date, I'll hook you up with some of our artists too.
Nice. All right, so you're going to Newark Comic Con.
Something froze up. You there?
Are you going to Newark Comic Con in New Jersey this weekend? Yes.
Yes, this Saturday, 10 to 8. If you go to our Facebook page, which is simply Outpouring Comics, one of the most recent posts on the page actually gives the direct link to Newark Comic Con. So if you feel like stopping by, the show was really crowded last year. It was a great one-day show last year. The fans received it very well. Newark was clearly hungry for it, and you know, Newark is not that far. So anyone who's listening in this area, it's, if you travel up there at the right time, it's 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
So
it's right
if
before
you
you
travel
get
up
to
at
the
the
city.
wrong time, then you probably shouldn't go.
Yeah, it's right before the city. It's close.
Yeah.
But and for tri-state area, which is actually a lot more than just 3 states, yeah, it's really close to just about everything. I mean, for crying out loud, you can make it there from Philly or Cherry Hill, But all right, so you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post a link to your Facebook page and to your comic book page on.
Awesome.
Where else are you guys gonna be after this?
The following weekend, we're actually going to be out in West Virginia for West Virginia Pop Culture. It's a 2-day show. We had a very good experience when we went there last year. Very well-run show. It's slower than this area. It's the Midwest, but at the same time, we were very pleasantly surprised and we decided that was one that we wanted to continue to do. And then the weekend after that, we're down in Baltimore for Baltimore Comic-Con. One of the larger shows on the East Coast as a whole. I mean, it's no New York, it's no C2E2, but Baltimore is as large as it comes without being a show of that size. We'll have a double table spread there. In Newark this weekend with me, Jay Taylor, artist for Heroes United, will be there. So if you do show up to Newark, you can actually get 2 signatures on a book that's being released for the first time. In the table adjacent to us will be artist for our new artist for our Voda series, Chris Matt. The following week in West Virginia Pop, it'll be myself and Sam Gardone. I will be at Newark also. Sam Gardone, the COO, editor-in-chief, will be holding down that show together. And then in Baltimore, Chris Rubenstahl, artist and writer for Necrozar. Terrell Jefferson, artist for Dark Ashes, Deathly Light. And Kurt Brugel of the Crom and Warlock of Shardor series will be joining me for Baltimore. Also, I figure I'd throw this out too. If you go to outpouringcomics.storeenvy.com, you can actually pick up our books online. We're also on Thru Comics and Indieshade Comics if you want digitals offline.
Nice. Thru I actually use a lot. Fantastic.
Also, yeah, we have all of our stuff up on Thru.
All right, you know what? Send me those links when we're finished, and I'll post them on the YouTube. I don't know how many people see them right now, but eventually, I'm hoping more people will see them.
Yeah.
All right, that's fantastic.
We're also on Twitter and Instagram too.
Okay, nice. You know what? I meant to look at you on Instagram, and I didn't. Sorry, that's my fault. And
no worries.
I don't do Twitter. Twitter to me, I'm older. To me, Twitter's like a cell phone. Somebody can always find you wherever you are, and I don't like that.
I don't do Twitter that well either. If you glance at our Twitter page, you'll find out how well I do Twitter.
Nice. All right, fantastic. All right, so this was an interview. This was a very enjoyable interview with Jonathan Miller from Outpouring Comics, the writer and co-founder. An all-around likable freaking guy, man. This sounds like your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It was great having you on. I'm going to end this podcast. Don't hang up on me, and you and I will talk a couple minutes after we go off air, right?
Oh, and I just want to say a big thank you to you too, Bill. Did a great job with this, and I really appreciate it. And you seem like an all-around great guy too.
You know, I try. Thanks a lot. All right. So this has been another episode of Comic Book University. This is Professor Bill. Guys, I'll see you later. Class dismissed.